Now we're going to mark our equipment. We know that this filter is 23 pounds with the returns open. And the filter's clean. Now when you call us and talk to us at the store, we're going to want you to talk to us in terms of pressure side and suction side. This part before the pump where it draws the water is the suction. Once it leaves the pump, it's all pressure side. So basically the first thing we're going to figure out is which one's our bottom drain and which one's our top drain. I can do this just by simply looking at the skimmer door, turning this valve.
Breaker in the house.
Yes, right in that door. I can look now at the skimmer door and see that my what's called a weir door, or a floating weir, is not sucking any water. When I open it, it draws it down. I know now that this valve right here controls my skimmer, or top suction. This is my main drain. Remember, this is the bottom, this is the top. Main drain, skimmer. When I'm vacuuming, I shut my bottom suction off and draw a full vacuum through my skimmer. When I'm normally operating this, I'll have them both open. Now in the fall, when I'm getting a lot of leaves on the top of my pool, I may want to drive more water through the skimmer and collect more leaves into my basket. So what I may want to do is just throttle this way a little bit, and what will happen is I'll pull more water off the top. I'm now going to mark my pressure side and figure out which one's my returns and which one's my jacuzzi jets. This particular model has jacuzzi jets. I know already, because I can see my returns are circulating in the pool, that this is the jacuzzi jets. I now have the jacuzzi jets closed. And this is my returns. The water comes up through here, it's drawn up through this pipe and this pipe. Goes in here, through the filter, goes through the filter, out here, into the heater, heats the water, goes back, passes through the chlorinator. This particular unit has a slide valve on it. And then these two venturis are the air vacuums, one for the jacuzzi jets and one for the main drains. Generally on your equipment pad, you're going to have a gas shutoff valve. That's about it. We're now going to clean the skimmer basket. How this works is the skimmer basket collects the big debris, draws the water to the pump basket. The pump basket catches the smaller debris, and of course the filter catches the very small debris. Again, I usually just knock this off. You can hose this off if you want. Now, if you live in an area and you have a cartridge filter of high cottonwoods, or things like you just saw come out of that basket, apple blossoms, you can get what's called a scum sock at our store. It's basically a pantyhose that goes over here. It's disposable. It goes over here. It'll catch dog hair, cottonwood, things of that nature, because it's a real bugger to clean dog hair out of your cartridge filters. Your sand filters, it's not too bad. And again, dogs and animals in the pool create real havoc with your pH and alkalinity. But if they have to swim, get a scum sock. That's one of the beauties of fiberglass pools. Your dog can swim in it 24/7 and you never have to worry about him doing any damage. If it was a liner pool, you'd have a real issue with it. Alright, now we're going to add a little bit of shock to this particular pool because it is a little bit cloudy. Now it's really important that you get yourself a bucket and you mark it for pool only. Don't use it to wash the dogs, wash your husband, wash the car. Okay? Always add your chemical to water. Never add water to your chemical. Some chemicals will combust if you add water to the chemical. Now, the other thing you don't want to do, it's very important, is don't mix chemicals together. Do one chemical at a time. Add it very slowly. Now, if you have rings on, it's very important. Get a big stick from the Home Depot and use that to stir your chemicals up. Never ever do this, especially if you have rings on. Some chemicals will actually eat the gold right off your fingers. Of course, you want to be careful. You never know what's a carcinogen anymore. And what I do, after I mix it up, I just kind of broadcast it through the pool. Careful, don't get it on your clothes. Don't get it in your eyes. Trying to help it out a little bit. Now I'm going to repeat that 4 more times until I get these 4 pounds of shock in the pool. On this episode, we're going to talk about the timer. The timer really isn't used in many states except for Michigan, but because other pool companies sell them, we also offer them. You have a couple of functions on the timer. You usually have a toggle switch like this, which is going to control the timer box, the power to the timer. Normally when you're going to shut this system on and off, you'll use this red toggle switch on and off. By doing that, the timer will still keep time. Now I'm actually going to set the time on this timer.
Still turn it on.
You pull this dial out and adjust it to the time. It's now 4 p.m. And you can set your timer pins on and off. You do this by, you can tighten or loosen these and slide them around. So for instance, if you want the system coming on at 2 a.m. in the morning, or shutting off at 2 a.m. and coming on at 10 a.m., you can have this option available to you. Then you have the GFCI breaker, the GFCI plug. That's code to have one of those. And this will usually be in a weatherproof box like you see here. Now, if you ever have a lightning strike or your fiber optics box doesn't work, this is the first thing you're going to check. This particular one is bad. There's either no power going to the unit or it's a bad plug, because there's nothing's happening there. Without this working, the fiber optic box won't come on. Now this could go bad for any number of reasons. The number one reason is a lightning strike in the area. If you have a lightning strike, it could blow your GFCI plug out. Once again, let's do a brief recap. The main power switch shuts the power off to the timer and stops your time clock. This switch allows you to turn the system on and off with your time clock still running. Your pins will control the on and off. You do that by counterclockwise the set screw and then rotating them around to the desired time that you want them to come on or off. And you adjust the time on the timer by simply pulling it out and turning the switch. On your fiber optics, always make sure that the dirt's cleaned out of this area. This here we found the homeowner had started to put dirt around the fiber optics. Keep those vents clean because this does need to breathe. There's a fan inside there. To turn your fiber optics on, there's going to be 2 wheels over here. One is going to turn on the color wheel and the other one's going to turn the power on to the box. You can also shut the color wheel off so it'll stop it on any given color. On the anytime your fiber optics quits working, it's code to have a GFCI protected plug within 10 foot of the pool. Somewhere on your pool you have this, and what you'll do is if your fiber optic doesn't work, check this first. A lot of times this will trip the breaker. This particular system has no power to the breaker, but if it did, you turn this on. Now if you've got power to this and you can hear it running, but there's no light coming on, chances are 99% to 100% that the light bulb's burned out. 2 Phillips head screws, you take the lid off, you can change the light bulb yourself. It's easier than a car headlight, but not as easy as changing a light bulb in your house. So remember, if your fiber optics quits working, always check your GFCI protected plug first. In this segment, we're going to cover how to clean a sand filter. The first thing you do is you turn off the system. This particular customer has a PS8. He is a state alumni. You shut the filter off. You're going to turn this multi-port valve to backwash. You're going to turn the system back on. Got to make sure that your backwash hose is fully extended so the water can flow out. Turn the filter on. You run the system on backwash and watch this sight glass. This pool is relatively clean, but you'll keep it running until the sight glass starts to get somewhat cleared up. You'll then shut the system off, turn it to rinse, turn it back on, count to 5, it's rinsing the system out into the spider gasket, cleaning everything out. Shut it back off, turn it to filter, turn it back on, and now your filter's clean. Now you'll be able to see what a clean filter runs on your pressure gauge. 10 pounds on this particular pool, but that's going to be different on every pool. As the gauge goes up, you know that your filter needs to be clean. I'm going to show you how to adjust the gate. This is probably going to have to be done at least once a year. That doesn't have enough tension. It should close. Hit that striker. It needs to be self-closing and self-latching. The easiest way to do it is just take a small drill bit, pull that pin out, rotate it, and just add a little tension. Do that on the top and the bottom. Just check it.
Oops, it.
Most pools will have a sump crock installed in it. The primary purpose of the sump crock is for visual impact for the customer. Most pool catastrophes happen when a new pool owner purchases the home from somebody else, and they don't realize they're going to drain the pool water to clean the pool out. They don't realize that their pool is a filtration system. This just creates a visual impact so that the homeowner can look down here and see that, hey, there's water under the pool. You can throw a pump in there and pump it out. Remember, never drain your pool without consulting a professional, and never let your pool overflow. This is just a sump crock that goes inside your basement. And the pool's backfilled with pea stone. It just allows a place for all the water to collect if you ever wanted to de-water. We're also going to talk about the concrete. After your concrete cures about 2 to 3 months, you should go around with a good self-leveling caulk and then caulk between the pool and the concrete and any seams. Remember, anywhere in this state where water can collect and freeze in the winter is going to cause cracking of the concrete. One thing we can guarantee is concrete will crack. That's its nature.